Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're doing a collective reading for the Scorpio New Moon. Normally, I host group readings through my newsletter, and we have a Zoom call where we get together and open the records on the new moons, the full moons, and eclipses, and do group readings. I'm switching everything over to YouTube. So if you're joining from the newsletter, welcome. This is our new platform for our group readings. I hope you enjoy this. It makes a lot more sense since we're kind of scattered over many different time zones. So we're gonna give this a shot and see how it goes. But I'm really excited to move our monthly readings and our moon event readings to YouTube. So for the Scorpio New Moon, I want you all to circle the date May 12th, 2025 in your calendar and save this reading because you're going to want to look back and see what story has unfolded for you personally from now until May 12th. So keep that in mind. So for the Scorpio New Moon, we're going to ask the questions. 1, what is the energy of this new moon? 2, how can we work with the energy? 3, what intentions are best for us to set under this new moon, this energy, with everything that's going on in the world? 4, what story is unfolding between now and May 12th, 2025? And then lastly, what's the most important message we need to know about the Scorpio New Moon? So this is a collective reading. Let's get into it. Big things, right? Like really, really big things. This has been quite a brutal year, and this feels like a very important new moon. So let's see what's going on. What is the energy of the Scorpio New Moon for the collective? They started with the word backstabbing. And in my head, I was like, really? Really? And then it was like backstabbing. These feelings of betrayal. And they're saying what it means to be betrayed, let down, disappointed in our foundations. So they're revealing the foundations of our betrayals. They're saying within us and to us, but they're saying for us and with us. They're saying that these experiences, they're saying, unfortunately, we don't like to think of it this way, but they are collaborations, they are co-creations in our relationships. The hurt, the stabbing. They're saying some of it is unforeseen, yes, but also that we do experience inklings of something in our foundations, of something happening under the surface. Something doesn't feel right in us. Our intuition, our spidey senses, these red flags, things are going off. And they're saying this isn't about like blame, but it is a conversation about blame and responsibility. Now, like there's the shock of like the mind trying to wrap our head around the consciousness of things that hurt, that feel like betrayals in our relationships. They're saying, however, the responsibility becomes in your hindsight and your foresight in the future. Note that maybe you recognize or you remember, they're showing breadcrumbs, the inklings, the suggestions, the feelings, the gut instincts that something wasn't right. And that what that means is you've learned there's now golden opportunities in trusting your gut instincts, in trusting your intuition, in trusting how you feel and your emotions, and how you recognize They're saying like the behavioral patterns in people, old behaviors in yourself and in others. And so they're like, you know, it's unfortunate, like these feelings of betrayal and the shock of when it happens. But they're saying, but sometimes, like more than not, they're saying you knew. And to take over your experience and take back your power from the experiences and the situation, to be like, you know what, like that really sucked and that really hurt and it feels awful and I'm really disappointed, and maybe this relationship or these connections and experiences, these are dead and gone, they're done, they've gone wrong, they're saying, or they've soured. But they're saying, but now there's the growth and the strength of like, there was a part of me that knew, there was a part of me that was right, there were signals that I didn't pick up on. And again, they're saying no blame, but these lessons learned. And they're saying that these betrayals, these hurts in our relationships are really important right now, because they're saying there's a pivotal shift and transformation in our community, in our collective, where we need to recognize where we're vulnerable and where there's quality and not quality relationships and partnerships in our communities. Because they're basically showing someone like, it's a bit of the fool with the, you know, the stick and the little sack on the end of his stick, like the pouch, taking off in a new direction with like very little. And they're like, you know, if it looks like this for right now, that your foundations, they're saying squared off, squared away, like you're recognizing that you can't go further in certain relationships, in certain communities, in certain collaborations. It's very painful, and that's okay, because it is imperative, it is very important, it is of most importance that the communities that are built moving forward are built on solid foundations. And that means genuine, honesty, love, community care, trust. And so if you lost people, if you're grieving the losses from harmful relationships, they're saying, please be responsible for moving forward. They're saying, take responsibility in moving forward. You do not want these faulty relationships, these faulty foundations in your orbit, in your field, in your community. And so they're being very like, it's judgment day. It's like, I'm seeing like the gavel knocking from a judge, and they're just like, this is it. This is it. These relationships, they need to stop. The ones that have been painful, and we excuse certain behaviors. Oh, long-term friendships. Oh, they're family. Oh, they're this, that, whatever. They're like, no, this is poisoning us to have these feelings towards each other. And so it is better off for everyone to just cut ties with these relationships. And they're like, maybe it's for a long time, maybe it's for a short time, but these cutoffs need to happen now, because we can't keep, they're saying, brawling. We can't keep fighting. We can't keep festering, and we can't keep having this poisoning in ourselves, in our relationships, in our communities, and then collectively. So it's going from the micro to the macro. So if you're feeling the loss and the grief and the pain, you're reliving the pain of these relationships, or you're staying in these relationships, they're saying it's time to go, and it's time to go for it. It's time to go for it. The transformation, whatever's next, whoever's next, this new cycle. They're saying new power, new cycles, new people, new places. They're saying be bold in your move forward. Take responsibility for that. They're saying there's a lot of unfairness. There's a lot of unresolved issues and opportunities and challenges and things that they don't want to continue festering like in your soul, in your heart, because they're saying for a time, if there are so few quality people and relationships in your life, they're saying you are better off alone, so that you can process and enter this state of restoration and regeneration from within. And they're showing us like going dark, nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and then lighting up from within. And they're like, this new light comes through you, this new growth, this new strength, this new like energetic vibration starts to emanate off of your body. And then when you walk around the world, you are now attracting different types of people from what you have been attracting before. And they're showing like if you were to stay festering in these poisoned or poisoning relationships for your heart and your soul, then they're just showing like it's almost like they're saying feeding frenzy. Like it's just gonna like they're kind of showing someone in their like festering kind of to themselves and like being a magnet for more of that poison. So they're saying it's better for you to be removed. And even if that means, you know, temporary like alone time, they're just saying that's good for you and like go for it. And they're saying like connecting and communication. Like if in your immediate environment there are few people, they're like, I bet you know people like far away or in other places that you can like reach out to for friendship and support and connection. They're saying like utilize all of your systems of mental and emotional health, your therapists. They're saying body work, you know, whoever you lean on for support. And they're showing someone doing a trust fall and falling back into the hands of many. And so they're saying over the years, you probably have some people in mind that you could potentially reach out to and that they might be happy to hear from you. They might miss you too. Or again, like reaching out to a previous therapist or establishing a new therapist relationship. So they're saying social health is very important. And to embrace and brace for, they're saying all effects of it, like the positive and the negative of our social health. They're like, okay, we talk about like mental and emotional and physical and spiritual within the individual, but what about social health? What about, you know, the external and the environment around us? It's all impact. It's completely directly related to our individual experiences and relationships. They're like, if you have a really bad day and you're fighting with your partner, you're fighting with your family, you're fighting with your friends, you're fighting with your coworkers, they're just showing this like chain reaction, these chain reactions that are happening all the time. And so they're like, this is a great time for separation, even if it's temporary, in order to build these more solid foundations. So whatever level of distance you need from the poisoning and the things that are festering inside of you that are making you reactive and angry and sad and hurt and vulnerable, all the things, they're saying separate, you know, take some space, take some distance. Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it this relationship is done? These relationships are done. But they're like separate, separate, separate. And they're doing the offspring, you gotta keep them separated. So they want us to like maybe not take this so like painfully and seriously, but take it as like the necessary space and time that we need when something's just not healthy, when something's becomes toxic. They're just like unhealthy relationships is like deeply impacting our social health and social quality. And then they're like, that affects our economic quality. It affects everything. So that's the energy of the Scorpio New Moon. That was a big message. They're like, relationships are circled and these feelings of betrayal. And they're like, what can I do now? asking yourself, what can I do now? What can I do about it? Where can I go now? Who can I turn to now? So these are the questions we're going to ask ourselves. How can we work with this energy? They're showing the trust fall. They're showing the trust fall. They're just like, if you do this trust fall and you fall back and there's no hands to catch you and you drop on the ground and you're just like, and you realize that you don't have support, that there actually is no support for you. They're like, they show this person dropping back, and instead of being like, oh, no one's here for me, they start laughing and they're like, holy shit, like, how long have I been in this lack of support? You know, and it's like, this is good to know. If you do this trust fall, if you fall back and you believe or hope or think that there will be people to catch you and no one's there, this is good for you. This means you need like a whole life overhaul. And this is like you're resetting, and it's a new cycle, and it's a new life, new people, new places, like whatever that means to you. And so after the initial shock of like landing on the ground and realize, oh, no hands caught me, no one was there. And then it's like, are you kidding me? You know, and all the things that come up when in those situations where you may have been the support for so many people. You caught so many people when they fell. You're trustworthy, you're reliable, you show up. But then when you need help, they're not there. They're basically just saying, goodbye, 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 goodbye. That's really good for you to know, because they're like, you don't want those faulty foundations. And they're saying, most of you who have experienced that or who do experience that, you've already been independent. You've already been self-sufficient. You've already been doing everything by yourself, right? And maybe you had the idea or the expectation that while you're so reliable and supportive in your life to everyone around you, one day when you need help, they'll be there for you. You thought. But then the reality is, maybe, maybe not. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's your wake-up call. That's your wake-up call to clear house. They're like, get out of Dodge, they said, and move forward. They're like, move the foundation. Where are you going to build this new foundation? Who's going to be a part of this new foundation? And they're saying, take your time. Because building these foundations well for you, and all those gut instincts and those bad feelings and those inklings of like these poisonous, not good for you relationships, all of that information, they're like, from the subconscious becomes conscious. And now you're like, ooh, growth, learning. Now I know what to look for when I'm building these new foundations. Now I know what to look for when I have these new people in my life and I can decide friend, not friend. Keep them at a distance, bring them in, right? So they're like, we're re-evaluating our behaviors in choosing our people. In how they're saying how to choose a person, like how to choose a person who's good for you. And they're like, you might want to write down like a little bit of a list of like, what are the qualities that you look for in a person? What are the qualities that you love about yourself? What are the qualities they're saying, like the energy, the vibration, the feelings, the emotions, like how do you want to feel around your person, your people? And they're saying like, we're greatly impacted by our relationships. It is personal. Person to person is personal. People are personal. It becomes personal. And so they're kind of like, you're like, oh, what's happening with that? Like they say, like what's happening with that person is not personal. And they're like, it depends on, it's not, but also as people, social beings, animals, like we're personable and things become personal. And so we want to not always have these barriers against each other. We want to be able to trust and rely on and allow these connections to be deeper, these foundations to be more meaningful. They're talking about morality, our visions for the future. What are your morals? What are your values? Like really start to reassess. They're like, the world is changing. They're like tornadoes, chaos. The world is changing around us. And so if you think that you're not being changed, they're like, you're dead wrong. Of course you're being changed. Everyone's being changed. And how are we being changed? Are we being changed for the better or worse? And they're saying, mind for the better. Mind for the better. So what's a better relationship to you? What's a better person to you? What's a better partner to you? They're like, start jotting down this little checklist of like, good, better, best, and nothing less. And have those standards. They're saying have high standards for who you allow into your world. Because I'm also getting that because the bombardment of everything external is just so overwhelming to us, it is even more important that we're not festering and being poisoned from the inside. Because we need to have these healthy relationships that help us feel like we have solid foundations. They're showing a heart in the foundation of a floor. And they're like, you want all this love and compassion and care, reliable, trustworthy, honest, open-hearted, open-minded. Like you want all of this in the foundation of what you're building. And go from there. So if you are experiencing the disappointment and the hurt and the pain and the grief and the loss, they're like, this is good for you. And the records are saying like, we can't wait. We can't wait for you to begin again. We can't wait for your reset. And they're like, you'll see. It can be better. It's going to be better. And they're saying like, it has to be for you to enjoy and live the rest of your life. And so I'm getting that like, we've come to the point where, we won't tolerate that unless we don't move forward. We don't get out, we don't take a break, we don't take distance, we don't separate. If you just stay festering and poisoned in that, they're just kind of like loop cycle. You have to get out, you have to do something different. Something has to shift. And even if that's baby steps, like make the moves forward, they're saying. What intentions are best to set under the Scorpio new moon? That was kind of nice. They just let my mind be like super blank and like nothing. They're saying blank intentions because this is a period of resetting and regeneration. And they're kind of showing like letting the chips fall where they may. So they're saying wait, because the unfolding happens more naturally, more organically in the coming months. So they're just like, hold off on your intentions. And it's more important that your focus is just on the regeneration of you, of who you are, of your soul. They're just saying if you need to like have an actual intention, it's just like a lot, like your intention is that the regeneration and the processing of your stuff goes well. They're like, it goes smoothly, it goes calmly, it goes peacefully, that maybe you just give yourself or allow yourself or can have the time and space to rest and restore and regenerate. They're saying this is a very fertile ground. And in order to have this fertile ground, we need to be quiet and still and not have these ideas and strategies and plans. And yes, hopes and wishes for sure. They're always in your heart. They're in your heart. But for right now, the intention is more like to be blank because you are resetting for a new cycle. And so if anything, they're saying calm down, kind of having the management of like your emotions, your mental health, doing all the things to kind of care for yourself. And it's interesting because I mentioned this I think in the November reading, talking about boredom, allowing for things to be quiet and still and maybe boring. Because when you're in that surrendered kind of state, all this stuff bubbles up from the subconscious. So they're saying this is a great time for your meditation practice, or if you don't meditate, to learn to meditate. This is a great time to be eating nutrient-dense, nourishing food, to be resting, to be reading books. Yeah, sure, to be watching TV, but they're saying like not the TV that provokes you, the TV that inspires you or teaches you something, or they're like rom-coms, like things that make you feel good, you know, the hopeful stuff, maybe the nostalgic stuff, the funny stuff. They're like laughter, you know, do all the things that allow you to go inward and kind of cozy up. But then they're also showing the need to, they're showing someone like doing all of that and then going outside and getting fresh air. So like, as you know, we go into like the colder months in the northern hemisphere, but wherever you are, they're just saying like to keep going outside and like be in nature. And they're just like, there's so many messages that are happening in nature. So it's like, it's quiet, it's subtle, but you're gonna hear it, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna experience it, maybe on a more unconscious level. If you're not attuned to like hearing all of it, they're saying it gets louder. And there's a lot of information, a lot of messages that are coming to us from the land, from the animals. They're like, it's in the air. There's a lot of support in the air. And so, you know, at like the most kind of minimal, like connection to it, you'll go outside and just feel better. And then, you know, depending on how much time or your deep listening practice, you might start to hear answers, hear messages. They're saying thought-provoking. It might, you know, provoke some thoughts, some ideas, but it's all very nurturing and loving. So having this mix of solitude, they're saying grace, and the peace and the calm, inside and outside. I don't feel lots of people. I don't feel lots of social engagements. I feel like it's almost like, okay, the holidays are coming up and I'm almost feeling like maybe you go to like 1 or 2 social events for like a short time. And then other than that, it's like small gatherings with people, like they're saying your most cherished people. But I'm getting you not pushing ourselves to do extra work, or putting in too much effort in these kind of relationships that feel poisoning and the festering, right? So they're like limited, you know, it's like, I'll be here for a short time. Like, I can stay for 30 minutes. I can stay for an hour. I can stay for 2 hours, and then I gotta go. And just, they're saying limited barriers. They're like around your core while you're in this restoration and regeneration process. So the intentions is like blank. What story is unfolding between now and May 12th, 2025? So the Scorpio New Moon now and the Scorpio Full Moon in May. What story is unfolding? They're like all new relationships, new people, new cycles, a new world. They're saying like, come May, you may have a whole new life. And it's almost like you'll look back and you almost won't believe the contrast. And they're saying contracts are broken and new contracts are formed. New bonds, new connections, new cycles. They're like a new society, a new ways of living that are very important. They're saying more important than ever before. So they're showing us, and they're just like, hold on to your dreams for yourself and the world. Like, grasp the ideas and the new concepts that you have for your future and for the future of the world. And they're saying that they'll start to be implemented in new ways of living, in new ways of being. They're basically like, it begins. This like rebirth, this kind of collective rebirth of what's next. And it feels very much like we turn back and we see all this darkness behind us. But we see this sunshine in front of us, this horizon in front of us. And we're looking at it, and we're just like, almost like staring into the sunset, staring into the sunrise, staring into the sun. They're just like a new horizon. And it's joyful, and there's adventure, and there's exploration, and there's new creative ideas, and there's inspiration, hope. But we very much remember all of this darkness, and they're like, you almost can't fathom how you got through it, but you got through it, you get through it. And not only that, you start to see the benefits of that hard work, of where you came from, of what we got out of, or what we got through, and how we got through it to get to this new place, to get to this new cycle, to get to these new ways of being and living. So there becomes an appreciation, not necessarily for the darkness, but kind of. Because we're stronger, and we're greater, and we're better. They're saying a better community, a better foundation. We're building better. And it's almost like they're saying repurpose, revisit, remember. We are able to pluck out the golden nuggets from the darkness. We are able to pluck out, we can look back into that darkness. They're almost showing us like looking back into like a cave and going back into it, and like maybe chipping away at some of this cave and like finding gems, finding little golden nuggets, finding these special little elements. They're saying spirit elements, because they're saying like oftentimes, like most of the time, we don't learn the lesson until hindsight. When we're in it, in the chaos, there's so much we don't even know what we're looking at. And so usually like the most important notice comes from hindsight. And so they're saying like, you'll get through it, you're gonna get through it. And then on the other side, they're saying is this new sun, this sunshine, this joy, this horizon, this adventure, and this exploration, and these creative new ideas, these new ways of living and being. So they're just like, hold tight onto your dreams, because they have a purpose. They're meaningful. They're very important. So don't forget that you have them. And let yourself have this blank slate, this setting, and this regeneration, so that they're almost showing all of these golden, like these gems, this treasure bubbles up from your subconscious into consciousness. And they're like a wake-up call, but it's good for you. What's the most important message we need to know about the Scorpio New Moon? What's the most important message we need to know about the Scorpio New Moon? They're saying baseline, foundations, crumble. Very scary at first. It might seem scary. And so they're like, if you're scared of it, just do everything possible. Utilize all of your sources, your resources of support. Grab onto all of that while it's happening. Because the crumbling of a foundation, of course, it's like, it's terrifying, like, we'll be terrified when, 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 when we don't have, it's like we have our legs, but if we don't have a ground to stand on, we don't feel secure. We don't feel sure. There's so much uncertainty and mystery and unknown when that happens. But they're saying, like, you are building the foundation. And that foundation before was not good for you. And not only not good for you, but not good for everyone else. So they're saying, let this happen. Let the crumbling of foundations happen. Because you are going to build back better, because you're stronger and you're growing and you're learning and you're smarter. You're better than you know. So they're saying, adopt that belief system. Make it better. Be better. Do better. And build on that foundation. And they're saying, you know, to shift your perspective, don't be afraid of the crumbling foundations. It's scarier to still be standing on broken foundations. Unstable, not secure, poisoning, festering relationships and communities and, you know, families and friendships and partnerships, whatever. That's scarier. To continue to walk on a broken foundation is very dangerous. They're showing someone walking on, you know, the rubble of stuff, and it's like, I'm going to get hurt, you know, like you can't walk. It's dangerous. So they're saying it's better to build the new foundation, because those foundations just, they're not substantial, they're not sustainable, and they're saying they can't and they won't last. So as scary as you think it is, it's scarier to stay. Okay? So that was the Akashic Records collective messages for the Scorpio New Moon. I hope you enjoyed that and found that helpful. Again, circle in your calendar May 12th, 2025, and revisit this and see how this story played out in your own life. That's how I like to play with the moons. So the next one, we'll have a full moon reading coming up this month, and I'll still do topics. We'll scatter topics throughout here. I was debating on doing a topic on US politics, but right now it's way too stressful. It's a nail biter and we're almost there. So we'll do something else. But if you guys have any topic suggestions, also leave that in the comment section below. Let me know what topics you want me to open the records on. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.